Okay, so I'm here to talk about the security industry, and I'm going to go into the more exciting stuff shortly, some of the roles that I've held, but just quickly to talk about the industry in general. I think a lot of people see it as a low skilled, low paid industry because the usual exposure that people get to security is a guy stood, on the door in Tesco's. And people imagine it must be a low skilled job and very low paid. But actually, since the events of September the 11th, security has become very, very specialised. It's got some very unique skill sets. It's very technologically advanced. We get all the new, all the new toys quite early on. And there's a huge demand for it. There's multiple disciplines within security that are all overarching as we become more technologically advanced. And it's become a very exciting world to live in. So a couple of disciplines you can look into are things like risk assessment and risk management. So trying to predict things, what's going to happen. There's intelligence work. Again, this is more, looking ahead, taking the information we have now and using that to predict the future. There's cyber warfare, and there's cyber risk management. And then obviously you've got your traditional sort of manned guarding. You've got close protection or bodyguarding, as it's more well known. You've got your various specialisations within the police and the army, armed security, and things like that. So really big industry nowadays. Some really good money to be made there as well. And like I say, since September the 11th, there's been a massive demand for skill sets that were previously not confined to, but they were sort of predominantly used in the military and not used in the civilian sector. Now what we've seen is a crossover of those skill sets, and we're seeing sort of skills that are, historically military-esque in nature coming across into the civilian world. There's various places you can do security. Obviously, international travel's involved. There's heavy emphasis in the Middle East, working in the Middle East. South America and Africa are all hotspots. And again, within those, there's multitude of disciplines. There's in Africa, you could be looking at close protection, bodyguarding. You could be looking at anti-piracy, so protecting ships from pirates. You can be looking at mine security, so managing and securing mines where gold, and precious jewels and other natural resources are being dug up. And also there's environmental related tasks that need security, so conservation, a lot of endangered species, okay, and obviously also there's defending against poaching and poachers. So some really interesting skill sets and disciplines within security. My background, I was in the parachute regiment and I left the army and I moved into close protection and bodyguarding. Within bodyguarding, I did some work in the Middle East, so that's called hostile environment close protection, and that was protecting engineers that were rebuilding Iraq following the war. Also, I've done close protection in the UK, so looking after ultra high net worth individuals and their families. And I've done diplomatic protection as well, so looking after diplomats in various parts of the world. Yeah, great. It was a great job. It's exciting. It was fun. It was well paid, and stacks of international travel. So really good. I've got a bit older, not much wiser, but a little bit older. Now I'm a bit more desk bound, and I've moved into risk management. But again, you have to use your imagination. You have to look ahead, plan ahead, and you have to turn a risk, an idea that something could cause harm or damage, and turn it into a quantifiable outcome, allocate a sort of business amount to that, like a financial amount, quantify that risk, and then decide on how much money is needed to mitigate it and decide how that risk is going to be mitigated. So you can see there, as I've gone from the military to close protection to risk management, and now I'm looking at cyber security, cyber defense, as that's an unavoidable part of security management these days. So multidisciplined, a lot of overarching disciplines, and just a really interesting industry to be a part of. Protecting people, protecting assets, protecting animals. And again, it's not what people think. It's not what's on the face. There's a much deeper industry behind that, and it's a very rewarding one. And I would definitely recommend that people look into it. And also, I would recommend looking into military police and places like that as a starting point. So do check it out. Do have a deeper dive into the industry, and good luck. Thanks.